Okay, students, today's lesson is called Quadratic Equations when they're in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. The a means that there's a number in front of the first variable that's greater than 1. So these are going to be a little different. First, you must know how to factor before you can do this lesson. And we're going to reduce our polynomials first if that's possible. That's something you have to look for at the beginning of each one. We're going to learn a method called slide and then divide. And it's, for short, it's slide and divide. That you slide, then you multiply, then you divide. And this is how we're going to learn to factor these, because these can be a little bit harder to figure it out. All right, they look like this. The first coefficient is greater than 1. So that factors into how you break this down into two binomials. First thing we're going to do is slide the coefficient in the very beginning, the a, and multiply it with the last term. So it'll be the 2 times the 6. You will then have x squared plus 7x plus 12, because we did 2 times 6 to get our 12. Now, we have it in the form we're used to factoring, so we can just factor this into two binomials. When we do that, you're going to have the factors of 12 that add to make 7 are 3 and 4. 3 and 4 multiply to get 12, but add to make 7. So once we factored that to our two binomials, the number that we slid and multiplied will now come down here to divide. That's where the slide and then the divide comes in. So you're going to divide it into each binomial at the last term, on the last term of each binomial. So when you have 3 over 2 and 4 over 2, simplify if you can. Let's keep going. If you can't, like this 2 will not divide evenly, so that 2 will come right up here in front of the x. So it's 2x plus 3, and the 4 over 2 will divide down to just a 2. So there's our answer, 2x plus 3 times x plus 2. Let's go to another one, show you this again, step by step. Okay, now, at the beginning I said to reduce your polynomial if possible. That means look at each term, can it be reduced? And no, there's nothing we can divide away from 16, 16, and 3. So we cannot reduce this one. So we'll start out by sliding first the first term and multiply it with the last. So 16 times 3 becomes 48. So it's left with x squared minus 16x plus 48. The middle term is not affected yet. Now that we have it like that, we can break it into two binomials. So there we go, 4 and 12. They'll both be negative since our middle term's negative and our last term's positive. 4 times 12 makes a positive 48, but you'll add and make a negative 16. Now that we've slid and multiplied, now you have to divide by the same number you multiplied with. So the 16 will come over here and go below your 4 and your 12 to divide. Now we simplify at this point. 4 over 16 will reduce to 1 over 4. 12 over 16 reduces to 3 over 4. So what happens, and here it is, where we've reduced them, 1 over 4 and 3 over 4. Now we're going to take our bottom number, now that we've simplified as far as we can, and it's going to move in front of the x on each one. So it'll be 4x minus 1 and 4x minus 3. And there's your answer again. Now those are two very well stepped out. I'm going to do it now, like you'll see it on your paper. So here we go. First step, slide and multiply. 2 times 1. It leaves x squared minus x minus 2. Now factor these. What? Two numbers multiply to get 2, but subtract to get 1. And obviously it's going to be 2 and 1. Have our x in front. And since it's a negative, and once you subtract, you end up with a negative. Our bigger number will be negative. Our smaller number will be positive. Now that we've factored it down to our two binomials, the number that we slid and multiplied, this is the step that's easy to forget. We're going to bring it back now and divide it into each term. 2 divided by 2 is x minus 1, simplifies to just x minus 1. And then 1/2 won't simplify any further, so we'll bring this 2 in front of the x, and it's 2x plus 1. The numerator will stay there. And there's our answer. And you can always do FOIL, again, to go back and check to make sure you did them right. Let's do the next one. First thing, again, I skipped over the first one because it was obvious it didn't reduce. Is there anything I can pull out of all three terms before I get started? And yes, I can divide by 5. So first thing I'm going to do is pull out a 5. That would leave 2y squared minus 7y plus 6. That's the first thing you do. Now this 5 I pulled out is just going to hang out beside all of my final answer. It is part of my answer, but there's nothing more I will do with this 5. Now we'll go ahead and start our slide and divide. First step, slide the 2 and multiply with the 6. So I'll end up with y squared, the 5 is out front, minus 7y plus 12. Now I'm going to factor this into two binomials. 5 out front. We'll get y in each one. Since I have a positive c and a negative, they're both going to be negative. Two numbers that multiply to get 12 but add to get 7 would be 3 and 4. Now the next step is the number I split and multiplied. That 2 will come back and go under the last term in each of my binomials. So here's dividing by 2. And for my final answer, this 5 will stay out in front. My first binomial won't reduce any further, so the 2 will come out in front of the y, and the minus 3 will stay. The second one will reduce to y minus 2. And there's our final answer. You will not have fractions remaining in your binomials. And that's how that one works. Let's do some more. Give ourselves a little more room here. All right. So here we go. First one. Can we reduce this polynomial? No, there's nothing I can pull out of 5, 3, and 4. So we'll start by sliding and multiplying. So we'll end up with x squared plus 3x plus 20. Now we'll factor this one like we know how to. X and x, they're both positive, so it's x plus and x plus. Two numbers that multiply to get 20, but add to get 3. Now at this step, you may be going, there's nothing that you can multiply to get 20 and add to get 3. And you would be correct. So if you run into this situation, it cannot be factored. You have to write the word prime. It means this polynomial is prime. It cannot be factored any further. That's what a prime number is. Does not have any other factors. So there's your answer when it won't factor any further. Okay, let's start this next one. First thing, is there anything I can reduce the entire polynomial by? And yes, I can bring a 2 out. Let's just start by doing that. X, whoops, sorry, forgot my 3. You'll have 3x squared plus 11x minus 4. So far we can factor it down that much. Now let's continue with our slide and divide process. 3 times 4 first. So this 2 will just hang out front. You'll have x squared plus 11x minus 12. Now we'll factor our trinomial with the 2 out in front. We need x in each one. Let's going to be a negative 12 with a positive b. So one's going to be positive, one's going to be negative. So they're going to subtract to get 11, so it's 12 and 1. And when you subtract, you get a positive 11, so our bigger number's positive, smaller number's negative. Now, next step is the number we slide to divide. We're going to divide with it now. And our 3 will go under our 12 and under our 1. Now reduce and simplify. 2 stays out front. This simplifies to a 4, so it's x plus 4. The next one will not simplify. So we'll bring the 3 over in front of the x. There. And it becomes 3x minus 1. And the 2 out in front. And there's another answer. All right, we're going to keep going because these can be kind of confusing. Sometimes you need to see several examples. I'm going to do 2 more, and then we're going to call it a day. Is there anything I can factor out? No. 5, 13, 6. So we'll start by sliding and multiplying first. X squared plus 13x plus 30. And already I can see it's 3 and 10. Because 3 and 10 make 13. Some of these, the more you do them, the quicker you get at it. So it's going to be a 3 and a 10, and they're both positive. So now we're going to take the number we slid to multiply and divide with it now. Put it underneath. 5 goes under both terms. The first one will not simplify anymore, so 5 goes in front of the x. 5x plus 3. The second one will, so it's x plus 2. And we're done. That one was kind of quick. All right, next one. Cannot factor anything out because 3 won't come out of 8. So we're just going to start with sliding and dividing. Sliding and multiplying first. So x squared minus 8x plus 45. Make our binomial now. X in each one. Okay, what 2 factors of 45? This time we'll have to subtract to get 8. We've got 3 and 15. Those don't subtract to get 8. We've got 9 and 5. Those don't subtract to get 8. So it looks like we're out of options. This is a prime polynomial again. So there you go, guys. That's how this works. Go back, study these processes, and I'll see you in class.